in our industry, I know you do it, and I do it as well. I deal with a lot of celebrity and athletes, and a lot of them can't post their firearms, but they're humongous. 2A supporters, just because whether it's a contract that they have with a baseball company or Nike or whoever it is, right? And they can't post that, but like there's a lot in this, even the Democratic side.
Yeah, I remember when I was at the beginning stages of my kind of 2A journey. I was still a little bit. I still had a pretty big channel, and I remember it was while I was still in law school, and I was kind of doing my rotations, going into working in different courts and stuff, the criminal courthouse or whatever. And I remember I walked in, and one of the judge calls me up to the bench, and I'm like, the fuck?
Yeah.
And so I walk up there, and he's like, I just want to say, man, I love your stuff. You do great things for the 2A. And I was like, holy shit. And I'm like, yo, that's when it hit me, when I was like, yo, what I'm doing is actually pretty important.
No, it is.
All right, welcome to another episode from the CNP. Wait, the fuck is CNP? Colion Noir podcast. Oh, yeah, I'm tripping. All right, ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, welcome to another episode of the Colion Noir podcast. I got my boy Javi from HTX.
What up? What's going on?
What's going on, man?
Chilling.
So, unfortunately, Houston
got hit.
Yeah. We were just talking about that. Like, my mom called me. She was like, I don't know what's going on here, but I just want to let you know that I'm on my way home and I hope I make it. I'm like, what are you talking about? So for those who are wondering context-wise, we Houston had was a tornado.
Yeah.
Apparently a big one.
Definitely a big one. It was right by our shop,
Yeah.
by where we live at. It was crazy because yesterday when we were driving in, my daughter FaceTimed me. She's like, look at the sky. It's crazy. It's black. I'm like, all right, cool. Phone cuts off. Immediately after that, I get a call from my wife. I don't know what's happening. I'm in the closet. It's crazy. I'm like, what the? And then her phone cuts off. Now I'm trying to reach him. I'm trying to reach the guys at the shop. So it's closing time. They're driving home. I start getting DMs like they're stuck on the freeway. Like winds are blowing. 18-wheelers are going over. Damn. Now, if you look at all the debris downtown Houston, like windows are out, power lines are down. Like it's wild. Like we don't get hit by tornadoes.
Yeah, that's in all my years of living in Houston exclusively, because I still kind of have a place down there. I've never experienced a tornado.
Yeah, me neither.
Ever. I've seen like maybe one like kind of forming. Like there's like conditions and a good touchdown. They never touch down. The fact that it touched down downtown too.
Yeah, that's wild. I think it moved from like West Side to Memorial to Spring. Like it went. Okay.
Damn. So it was on the ground for a while.
Yeah.
Dude. Yeah, because I used to have, my place used to be downtown. And so I'm not there anymore. But man, I could imagine, like, especially with all the glass and everything that's breaking down there, which goes to show you, I'm like, yo, shouldn't these things be rated for like hurricane?
Yeah, the infrastructure is definitely not good, right? Or like the club. You seen the club that got knocked down? No. Everybody's like, at least the thoughts can't go no more. It was like that place. What was it called? Mahi? I've never been.
Yeah.
Majo? Something like
downtown?
That. Yeah, this was downtown. Like the whole entire side of the brick wall just collapsed.
Jesus.
Yeah, out of there.
What the fuck?
Yep.
Yeah, that's. And it's funny. I think about like back in my days when I was in Houston, because when I was promoting, I remember everything was downtown. Like clubbing, everything was downtown. Everybody partied downtown, and now it's like everything is just kind of all over the place. Yeah.
So it used to be dope because like in the '90s, late '90s, that just goes show how old we are. But like Westheimer and Richmond was popping, right?
Yes.
You're talking about back-to-back slabs. Like you didn't even make it to the club just because you were there. And then it moved to, I think it moved to downtown.
Yep. Yeah.
And then it moved to Washington.
Yep. It always bounced back between those three areas.
All those three areas.
Every single time. Yeah, I remember Westheimer. Yeah, well, I was going Westheimer, and then all the street racing, the whole car scene, everything,
To me, that was the best time, like clubbing days, but also we were like teenagers and everything else.
I mean, we were just talking with Crispy, and we were talking about takeovers, and I was telling him, I was like, man, shit is dumb, but I'm like, when I think back when I was younger, when I was on the car scene then, I knew the stupid stuff we were doing then, so it's kind of like, the difference now is they have social media, so you see all of it so much more now. Granted, some of the shit that we don't be dumb as hell.
Absolutely, and I'm glad social media didn't exist when we were younger.
No, absolutely, man. So talk to me. So what was the motivation behind getting HTX Tactical started?
All right, so I'll try to make a long story short. So I mean, I b-boy. I toured the world for a very long time, and being a b-boy breakdancing, our bodies are like athletes, and so like 7 to 9 years ago, I'm like, what am I going to do with my career after I finish performing and b-boying? I got to do something. So I hopped on Instagram and I was like, I saw a couple of guns here and there. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like some cool guns. So I started getting into it. I'm like, oh, there's a gun industry. There's like a 2A industry. I had no idea about it at that time. And so people start sending me stuff in here and there, and you know, it started taking off as far as like just people giving me, you know, sponsorship stuff for free. And then I met George, which is my partner now. He was doing gun shows. I don't think he wasn't selling guns at the time, but he was selling like parts and accessories. And I was like, man, the name is dope, HTX Tactical, like, and the logo's dope. It's got like the Astrodome in it. And I was like, look, bro, if we become partners, I will take the shit to the next level. Like I already did with my entertainment company, Soul Street. Like I own that company. I come from the entertainment performance space. I have the connections. And at that time, there were no, besides like you that back then I didn't know you know, I didn't know about you. So I was like, man, there's no urban space. Like there's nothing. And so even my first time going to SHOT Show, it was cool because like, you know, I went in my regular, you know, being a fresh B-boy and everybody was in their, you know, cargo pants and flag shirts and stuff like, man. And then you just start seeing the progression. Like a few years after that, everybody start, you know, if you see it now, everybody's, you know, a little bit the kicks.
In a way, I some people may see it as negative. I don't, but it's like a little more commercialized.
For sure. Absolutely. Like, I mean, for anything to grow, even B-boying, like B-boys in the Olympics this year for the first time ever.
That's crazy.
For the first time ever. And, you know, there's a lot of real heads who are like, you know, fuck the Olympics. We don't want it because it's ruining the culture. It's watering down. But if you look at the 4 elements of hip hop, us B-boys, we were the last ones to get paid. DJs and MCs and even, you know, the graffiti writers were getting paid. But in order for us to get paid, like you got to bring the sponsorship money and you got to get, you know, the Red Bulls and the Monsters and all these other corporations to put into it. And so that's the only way for you to sustain and grow and do something that you love. I was very fortunate to own my own company and start it and get paid off not only b-boying, but just performing. And then not only that, becoming a culture ambassador for the United States of America. Like on some real, like, you know, kid from the hood to change his life around, to change millions of lives, just not only in the United States, but all over the world. Like I just got back from the Maldives, got a documentary of that. Actually, 2 days ago, I just got hit up to go to Kurdistan, like northern Iraq, to go do an ambassador trip out there. And a lot of the countries they send us to, you know, some pretty sketchy countries. But it's dope just because, I mean, a lot of us come from the hood, but we're able to change our lives on a professional level. So, you know, we got a little bit the best of both worlds. And so these people that we go to or see, they're like, you know, you're similar to us. You come from this crazy background and you were able to change your life around. And so that's kind of the message, you know, we send whenever we do like these embassy, State Department trips.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I mean, I've always said it, I think the biggest defense for the Second Amendment is expansion, because it's the culture. I think the culture drives the protection of the Second Amendment in a lot of ways, because if the culture starts shifting where it becomes more anti, because not that many people are getting into it and the other messages coming across, it's not going to be good.
100%. And like, you know, in our industry, I know you do it and I do it as well. I deal with a lot of, you know, celebrity and athletes, and a lot of them can't post their firearms, but they're humongous. 2A supporters, just because whether it's a contract that they have with a, you know, baseball company or Nike or whoever it is, right? And they can't post that. But like there's a lot in this, and even the Democratic side. Even politicians, like we got judges that are in Houston that are hardcore Democrats that come and
I remember when I was at the beginning stages of my kind of 2A journey. I was still a little bit. I still had a pretty big channel, and I remember it was while I was still in law school, and I was kind of doing my rotations, going into working in different courts and stuff, the criminal courthouse or whatever. And I remember I walked in, and one of the judge calls me up to the bench, and I'm like, "The fuck?" And so I walk up there, and he's like, "I just want to say, man, I love your stuff. You know, you do great things for the 2A." And I was like, holy shit. And I'm like, yo, that's when it hit me, when I was like, yo, what I'm doing is actually pretty damn important.
No, it is. It is, because like, even doing this, you know, we get people that come into the shop, or whether we're at SHOT or any other industry event. And we talked about it a couple of times. They're like, man, you and Colion need to do something together. It's crazy that, you know, this is the first time we do something, but, you know, definitely congrats on this and all your success. I mean, we always push it. We always send people out. And that was another big thing, like coming in, because, you know, growing up in the hood, there's a lot of firearms, whether they were illegal or they weren't.
They were there.
They're there, right? And so, you know, doing hip hop outreach, it's the same thing. It's like, you know, I tell my guys, when people come to the shop and you see a newbie, and you can tell right away, right, when somebody, how they grab a firearm, you know, we'll teach them the four safety things right off the spot. And we tell them, hey, go take a class and do that. And it's a big education factor. And that's what's great about, you know, the videos and stuff that you do, that you post out, is just giving that education out there so people can gain that knowledge and know that it's there. And it's the same thing what we're doing. We're just doing on the, you know, the sales side of it, right? Yeah. Of the firearms and parts and accessories and custom work, but it's the same thing. It just needs to be done. And, you know, our community needs people like us to be like, all right, he looks like me, or I look like them. Him, you know, I can believe what he says. You know, they've been through it. Like their resume speaks for itself.
I've told people before, because sometimes in the gun, like in the hardcore gun space, I was like, oh, why does it have to be about this or race? I was like, it shouldn't have to be that way, but because of the way things are, some people have to start with somebody they relate to.
For sure,
right?
Absolutely.
And it's just a comfort aspect. So for them, it has to be someone. Oh, I can relate to this person. And I always tell people, I'm like, I feel like I'm a gateway drug into firearms. Yeah. Right. You start with me, and then you'll still stay with me, but then you'll start feeling, okay, yeah, oh, I like this guy, I like this guy, I like this guy, because a lot of people come in through me, and they see, and they're like, oh shit, I like that person, and then the community grows in that manner.
100%.
So I think it's incredibly important to have a very multifaceted approach in terms of different backgrounds, different colors, different cultures, all of it, because not everyone is going to agree or be appealed to by someone who's the complete opposite of them. It's just 100%. The way things are. There's nothing you can do about it, right? In a perfect world, it shouldn't matter at all, but it does. And so I think what you're doing is incredibly important, because you serve as that conduit to that aspect of the firearm world where it's that part of it has largely been ignored. And I call it the more, you call it urban, I call it urban too. I remember when I started out, I called myself the urban gun enthusiast. Yeah. And everybody was like, oh, it's because you're black. I'm like, no, it's because I live in a city.
Yeah, right.
It's not,
for sure.
It has nothing to do with my color. It's just that I'm a city kid. Right, and that's why I grew up. I grew up in Houston. You grew up in Houston. So, for me, I didn't have a you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had to kind of figure this shit out. Like, I'm in the space, and I'm like, do I fit in? I don't know if I fit in. I have friends that are like, no one's gonna accept you. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. So
I have the same attitude, right? So even starting, I was like, I'm a good bridge. I call it like bridging the gap, right? Because hip hop in itself gets a bad rap. Yeah. For people who don't understand, because there's two parts of it. You got commercial rap, which is, the Ricks and the Drakes and the Kendricks. But then you have the hip hop culture. The camera guy right here, he knows about it. Yeah. Our camera guy knows about it. He's a popper. Yeah. We come from a hip hop community. And as I said earlier, the four elements, that's the basis of the hip hop community. So there's a lot of organizations outside of that, of the commercial rap, that been keeping this culture alive forever. And not just in the States, but all over the world. And so be able to do hip hop on a professional level, on an outreach level, was kind of the basis of bridging that gap between hip hop and guns on a professional, positive level, versus some hood cat coming in, man, I got this motherfucking Glock right here, you know what I'm saying? Oh my God, and it is what it is.
But there's a lot of lack of understanding in a lot of ways of 100%. Very basic, because a lot of people don't know what they don't know. Yep. Right. And so that's why I think what you're doing is important, because even on that side, there's a street culture. And I don't mean the illegal side of the street culture. I'm just talking about inherently the street culture side, where they are into firearms. They just don't know a lot about them in a way that you think they would, considering there's so many guns in the area. Right.
For sure.
And I think improving on that knowledge, right? And then in being that conduit where people can say, okay, go get this type of training, understand these 4 rules of safety. And then that, to me, starts shifting the culture in a way where then it's like you have all of these different cultures, firearm cultures, within the firearm umbrella coming together. And at that point, the community is unstoppable.
Yeah, for sure. Like, even, hip hop shit, like, I never gave a fuck what people said about me or what they thought. Like, I'm gonna do my own thing regardless. And it's the same thing with, when I first got into the gun industry, especially a lot of these manufacturers or other people just involved in the industry, is like, oh, what is that? Now, bro, I bullshit you not. I got some of the biggest manufacturers, influencers come and say, hey, straight up tell me, we copy what you do. Yeah. Yep. Because when we started that lane within this industry, we were the first of its kind of, urban hip hop gun shop. And now everybody's pushing it now. Look at everybody's social medias and promotion and how they do it, which is cool. Like no problem with it. You know, that's what it's here for. You know, let's grow this thing on a positive level. And so, I mean,
but it's just how it started initially. It was kind of like,
exactly.
And now it's like, oh yeah, we do what you do. Yeah, yeah.
And you already know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think always said the saving grace of the industry was social media. Plain and simple. Because before, everything was either through like magazines. It wasn't TV commercials for firearms or anything like that. So if the way things progress now, at a certain point, like nobody's reading magazines like that to the same degree anymore. So what other outlet is there to get the information out, to get people to learn, understand your product and all of those things? You wouldn't have it if you didn't have social media.
What do people got in their hands all the time? A phone.
Oh, yeah.
Even when I was doing hip hop outreach in schools, and you know, we were educating these children and trying to, you know, push them towards just having a better life or doing something positive with it. The biggest thing is like, especially, you know, in the urban areas, the mom, the dad, maybe one is not there or they're both working. So who's raising your kid?
Yeah. Yep. Social media. Yeah. Literally.
And as we know, especially in our industry, there's a lot of misinformation and a lot of mind fucking and all types of shit going on. So you don't know what to believe. And if something pops up right now, be like, oh shit, something just blew up. Yeah. But they don't know that the back end of it. Yeah. They go and post it. So what I learned a long time ago is let me go do some research first before I go and post, you know, so-and-so died. Yeah. And then they have to make a Twitter post.
It's like, no, I'm still alive.
Bro. Yeah, I'm right here, bro. And so it's one of those things where we like to push, or I personally like to push, and I know you do, is like education. Yeah. You know, I didn't get where I was just because all of a sudden, like I grew up fucked up. Yeah. Like that could be a whole nother podcast on its own, right? But it's like, I knew from an early age on, it's like, man, I'm going to do something with my life. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know what I'm going to do. Like I wanted to take martial arts, but I grew up poor. Yeah. Then I finally saw somebody breaking. And at that time, there wasn't YouTube. There wasn't social media. We had this VHS from like a battle in Germany. So you lock yourself in an apartment house and then you just practice. You're teaching yourself how to do this. So we're self-taught. Now we teach classes. Now we teach dancers who have their own studios that teach these kids. And so it's one of those things.
It's crazy. It's like a martial art.
Exactly, right? And that's why it's a beautiful thing for me. Like B-boying's in the Olympics. It's going to be Paris 2024.
That's
and
dope.
And it's the homies from USA that are representing that are going to be there. And actually a couple of them from Houston.
Really?
Yeah. Shit. So I mean, we've always had a rich culture when it came to the elements of hip hop. Like Houston had a really, and it's still deep right now.
Yep, always, man. So have you had any issues in terms of any pushback or any, like, what are some of the kind of pitfalls that you kind of coming up and getting the store set up, all of those things? What are some
honestly,
of the things that you had
the
to deal
pitfall,
with?
Which is unfortunate, is when you start making money, right? Mm-hmm. You start having employees who steal. You start having people doing like snake shit. Yeah. And it's always the people closest to you.
Yep.
Always the people closest to you.
That's why I keep Peter way far.
Yeah. He tried to steal my shrimp fried rice earlier. I don't know about you. Bring it down. But it's just the unfortunate thing that happens, right? Yeah. And I never did anything that I've ever been involved with never had to do with money from the jump. Mm-hmm. Yes, I want to make money off what I do, but like when I did b-boying, I did it because I loved it. When I got into the firearms, I did it because I loved it. Now, how can I turn this into a business and get paid and sustain it and take care of my family and my bills and all that and maintain? So anything that I do was always with love. It was never money first. Yeah. And that's why Soul Street's about to be 20 years old. You know, this HTX is going 7.5, 8 years old. Yeah. And you only have longevity in anything that you do is doing it with love. If it's that money grab, then it's 1 to 3 years. Easy. Out. Yep. Yeah, you're gonna get out because you're gonna burn yourself. You're gonna fuck people.
Burnout is the real one. Yep. Burnout is crucial, and the only thing I honestly can say thing that's kept me going is because it did start with love for me. Like I remember when I started out, this was all in Houston. You know, like I'm like, oh yeah, I'm in law school, I'm gonna be a lawyer, doing all this stuff, but I'm like, I'm gonna do this on the side. This was guns were my escape. Yeah. Right. And then when it started growing, becoming bigger, I'm like, okay, I can monetize this. Sure. But the foundation was already there. So it monetize or don't monetize doesn't matter. This is what I love to do. People ask me, they're like, in a perfect world, you can do anything you want. Anything. Like you had all the money in the world. You can just sit on an island, I probably spend about a week or so doing nothing, probably doing debaucher shit, and then I'm like, man, I want to go shoot.
Yeah,
man, I want to make a video. I
don't even know how you're gonna do a week because after like one day, it's like people I need a vacation or I stay home one day at work and they're like I have to do something.
Yeah,
it's not like ADD or ADHD, but like my mind is just constantly just going. It never stops.
Yeah,
and like it just stops me from sleeping too.
Oh, dude.
And so I only sleep very little every night. Just
if I get 5 hours, I'm like, holy shit,
right? Yeah, like, start the day. I don't even need a coffee today.
Like, right? I'm sitting here taking magnesium.
Yeah, right.
Dude, it's bad.
Nah, I get what you're saying, man. I just constantly have to do something.
Yeah, that's also that entrepreneurial side of it too that people don't understand, right? I'm sure you see it with running a store. Even from a content side, like people think, "Oh man, it must be awesome." I'm like, you have no idea the amount of stress involved in this shit.
Yeah, like even when I'm gone from the store and like, hey, y'all gonna have to do some videos while I'm not there.
Yeah,
and like to constantly have 4 videos ready every day and film it from the day before, and still to keep the content fresh and just.
Because you think you'll have a system, and then it'll start to get a little stale. Yeah. And then you're like, shit, I got to change this up now. Yep. So you got comfortable. Now you got to get uncomfortable again, try to figure out. It's a real grind. It's a real grind.
It is. But, I've been through worse shit in my life. So it's easy work, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I got to ask. It's mandatory. So right now, what are your go-tos? Let's say for carry.
So right now I have the Wilson Combat SFX9 on me at the moment with the 15-round mag.
Really?
I'm a sucker for metal, aluminum guns. I'm not the biggest. I don't hate them. Yeah. I'm just not the biggest polymer guy. Like you, man, I got a lot of 2011s, Staccatos.
I love me, man.
Sand Vipers, and
I'm gonna say this right now because I get a lot of shit when I do videos on 2011s. Just go shoot them.
Yeah, shoot them.
Just fucking shoot them.
Go shoot them.
People don't understand that. Like, oh, no, it's just much for a gun. Shoot the damn gun. I promise you'll walk away.
And the way we kind of do it in the shop is like, all right, I mean, you can get you a Toyota, bro, or you can get you a Mercedes.
It makes a difference. What do you want?
It does make a difference. Yeah. The quality is different. And I always tell people, a good 2011 makes you a better shooter straight out the box.
Thank you for saying that. Because nobody believes me when I say it.
No, it's 100%
makes you
true.
A better shooter.
It's 100% true.
Says, no. And I get it. There's a lot of people who's like, you take the time and the practice, you put in with the gun and you'll get, true. But if you want to have a shorter learning curve, get a 2011 or double stack 1911, whatever you want to call them. What they call them these days.
And, knowing you for a while and, seeing posts, like, we love quality things. Mm-hmm. It doesn't necessarily mean it has to be expensive, but most quality stuff is expensive,
tends to be
right?
a little higher cost.
Just like, we both got some rollies on, there are no bust downs or anything. Yeah. But I like to have stuff that's quality.
I have one I bring out every once in a while.
Right? Yeah, right. Yeah, right. No, I got a bust down too, right? Shit, I got a piece of chain on right now. But something that, hey, if shit hits the fan and I lose a store and what am I going to resell? When I cannot flip,
exactly,
just like having a good rollie, a good gun, a car. You have these certain items where you can flip and even make money.
Yeah, exactly.
Like shit during COVID, bro. I bullshit you not. We probably flipped 4 APs and like 10 Rolexes.
Oh, it was crazy.
Bro, I was telling George, I was like, look, bro, this Royal Oak Panda, it's going up 10,000 like every 2 weeks, bro.
Dude,
I was like, if it hits 100K, like the watch is cool.
Yeah.
But if it hits 100K, it's gone, bro.
It's gone.
Bro, it hit 100K, it's gone.
The prices during COVID, not even just watches, cars.
Yeah, everything.
It was insanity, dude. Like, even in the car market, I was watching cars go, like, my GT3.
Yeah.
My GT3 was going for like, I want to say close to 50 to 100 grand over sticker. With miles. Not like, oh, I have 100 miles on the car. Miles. I got out of my GT3. I walked away. I had 10,000 miles on it in a year. I walked out of it clean. I didn't lose a dime. And then, so I get what you're saying in terms of, but also like you said, you can't do that with it because like cards that weren't like regular cards weren't necessarily, they were losing value. They weren't doing that. But like things like the AP were. And so I try to communicate that in my videos in a lot of ways. Like people will ask me, like I did a video on a gun on a 2011 that was on a relatively cheap side. It was like the cheapest I've seen.
For sure.
And it wasn't bad. It was not bad. But me personally, if I had to make the decision, even if I had a limited budget, I probably would save up to get something that I really wanted in the 2011 space.
100%.
Personally. Now, if you can't do that, then sure, get this gun. This gun is good enough to do that. You won't be upset. But there's some intrinsic qualities about certain guns that you can't really communicate until you shoot it.
100%.
And once you do, you're like, oh, I get it.
I agree 100%. And don't get me wrong, like hearing this saying we got Rolexes and bro, I went to TJ Maxx the other day and bought some $15 shorts.
Oh, dude, I wear the same jeans, same t-shirts,
bro,
all day.
Straight up. Like same thing. Like
it's I mean, everybody has something that they put their money into.
Yeah.
Right. Somebody will say, you know, gun's not that important. I'm just gonna give me a Glock 19, call it a day, boom, and then they'll drop $100,000 on a baseball card. You know what I mean?
My camera guy right here, he's got some very expensive comics.
Yeah. See? Exactly.
Very expensive comics.
So I mean, and I think people can kind of understand that perspective, right?
Yep.
So you got to think about it. If I'm obsessed with firearms, goddamn right. I get it all the time. It's like, oh, you always do expensive guns. I'm be honest. I tell people all the time, I only do videos on guns I like. Right. I'm not going to do a video on a gun I don't like. It means nothing to me. For sure. And a lot of it is because I am so obsessed with guns. And so when I get a gun, I get excited. I want to shoot it. I want to talk about it. I want to explain to you what my feelings are with the firearm.
Yep.
So why wouldn't I want to spend more money on the thing that I'm in love with?
Exactly.
You know, but I get it. Not everybody is in the position to do that. And I was that guy at one point where it was like I started like my first handgun was a Ruger SR40, and I still love that gun to this day. But then eventually I was like, okay, like I got into HKs and, you know, started getting into higher like 1911s and things like that. So it is for me, I think enjoy the process is 100%, what I say, right? And
that's crazy that you say that because I tell that to people all the time. I was like, you got to enjoy the stuff in between, whether it's good or bad, because it's going to make you a better person at the end and you'll enjoy it a lot
and
more.
Then when you get to the other stuff, you'll appreciate it even more.
Yep. Right. It's like even when people come to Houston, oh, let's go out to the car. I was like, bro, I toured the world. Like I've done some stuff that you'll never know even existed. Like, there's nothing in Houston that's going to do for me. Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. After I leave a tour, I love coming back to Houston and being there just because of the food, my people, you know, my rights, everything that I have.
Yeah. Like, I tell people all the time, Houston is a place, if you grew up in it, you love it. You love it. And we can't really explain why. Yeah. Right? Like because some people come visit Houston, they're like, it's okay. You know, it's like, Houston is a place you have to stay there for at least 2 to 3 weeks. Yeah. To really get a feel for it. And then you'll start to understand. And you won't be able to explain it. But you're like, I like it here.
Because it's not like it's a European town where everybody can just congregate in like the city center. Or like a New York where everything is there.
Yeah,
like,
they annex everything.
So big. It's so spread out. Like you have to know. You have to drive over here to go do this and that. So that part I get. You're like, oh, Houston's not going to be fun. But if you know the spots and you know the people. Everything.
Anybody that relocates from wherever they are, they come from Atlanta, they come from New York, California, it doesn't matter. When they move to Houston and then start getting on the scene, they're like, it is fun as hell here. Yep. Yeah, because Houston is quietly that we don't stop.
Yeah, we don't.
We don't stop.
We don't stop.
Yeah, man. But nah, man, appreciate it, man. I really. Hey, first time.
I appreciate you. Yeah, I appreciate you. Congrats on everything. It's kind of
messed up because we're both from Houston.
Facts.
But shit.
Hey, we're both busy doing our thing. Yeah. But we'll get a hunt in together.
Oh, I'm down.
We'll bring some UFC fighters with us. Okay. Shit, we sparred with Kevin yesterday. Yeah. You didn't hit us, so that was a good thing. That was a good thing. That was a good thing. He was trying to work on his defense. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man.
I'm game. Yeah, let me know. I'm good. I'm doing for a good hunt. So
yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, sir.
Politicians and tech giants don't want gun content to be recommended to you, and we're all fighting this culture war together. Now, you can help do your part by liking, commenting, subscribing to the channel, but most importantly, sharing this video with at least one person. Together, we can stop the suppression of our 2A rights. And don't forget to click the link in the description section of this video for the products that I mentioned in this video.